Okay, hello, welcome on our Core SIG meeting. I'm Łukasz, and I will be your moderator today and also write the notes. Interesting topics on the agenda, but as usual, we want to first start with questions and feedback, but because today we have only John on the call, so I will be even direct here. John, do you have any questions or feedback?
The only thing I wanted to mention was I've been getting a lot of requests on the open source Slack channel and also within SAP for the instructions on how to connect a local commerce instance with a local Kyma instance. I think a lot of commerce developers from partners and customers are used to running Commerce Cloud locally, so want to try to connect Kyma locally as well, because otherwise they have to find somewhere to run Kyma in the cloud, and that costs money, and it's not always the easiest thing. So I think with the release of 1.3, there's now all the pieces in place to be able to run it locally fairly easily. So we have some instructions documented on how to do it. You basically have to override some of the default settings for the registry and the gateway once you've connected to Commerce. So I was just wondering, would it be possible to publish those instructions somewhere in the Kyma documentation or in the anywhere, basically, so that we could point people to them?
So actually, I was directly contacted yesterday by one of the contributors that mentioned this document to me. I think he wrote it, or did you wrote it?
If it was Felipe,
Felipe, yeah, exactly, yeah.
He wrote it, but I gave him the instructions. He
okay, cool.
did the hard work of writing it up, but as he's internal as well, good to be able to publish it somewhere that was extra.
Yeah, so the thing is that Kyma, of course it's driven by, for now, by SAP, but we want to have it like vendor specific, free from the instructions.
Yeah.
So having it in our instructions will only bring value to a specific group of people. So my suggestion was yesterday when I had this discussion with Felipe, I in my opinion, the best place really for that will be the SAP blog, because for SAP blog, you don't have to have any specific approvals. Anybody can actually write blog posts on SAP blog, as far as I know, and they are publicly available. So I know some evangelists from SAP, like Jamie, he's writing blog posts there. Yeah. And then it makes sharing of the blog post really easy. Long-term maintenance of the instruction is also easy because you have commenting section. And then you can also share it in our Slack, one of the Slack channels, maybe general or application connector, for others to read it. That would be my recommendation, I guess. That's the best, because it's close to SAP, so SAP blog seems like the best place.
Sure. Okay, that's fine. I'll follow up with Felipe then.
Yeah. Of course, the other option would be the official docs from the maybe Cloud Commerce or the iBreeze Commerce, but then getting them in production documentation would be much harder than just writing a blog post. So that's why my recommendation is blog post.
Sure. Okay, I'll do that. The only other question I had was that talking to customers and partners, there's a lot of interest in the things that Istio and Knative provide. You know, when it comes to things like canary deployments and traffic routing and the scaling using Knative, what are our plans to be able to expose some of that through the Kyma UI so that you don't have to kind of go under the covers to do some of that stuff?
So correct me if I'm wrong, PK, but we for sure don't have anything on the roadmap. I haven't seen anything like that. Do you know something more, PK?
Yeah, maybe and a short summary that right now we formed a dedicated team that will work on the Knative, let's say, integration and contributing to the Knative directly, and then use it that the Kyma should be powered by the Knative. And then I guess in some time such a tickets will just come, right, to expose some of the functionalities of the Knative itself, which has a wrapper under the Istio, like you know, as you described, John. But right now we don't have it on the roadmap really for now, because we are hardly work on the eventing part and serving right now itself, to enable the third party PubSubs apps and so on through the Knative eventing, things like that. But of course, you can also talk to Ahmed Abdallah, as he's a lead of that Knative topic. And maybe he will know something more. Maybe he already has some plans for that.
But it's only Knative specific, right? But the other ones, I think you mentioned also Istio settings, right?
Yeah, I think once you talk to customers and partners about, especially the sort of canary deployment stuff that you could do with Istio, that's they suddenly see the value in that. And I guess I know that you could do it by, you know, just altering the Istio configurations, but I was just wondering if there were any plans to sort of have some sort of UI in Kyma to do that.
Then, but as you know, guys, that the Knative somehow is a wrapper under the Istio, right? That they have their own custom resources to do such a things that are then creating some Istio resources that we even didn't discuss it right now. What we should expose really to that, the Istio directly or the Knative, right?
But Knative is now independent from Istio, right? I think.
Yeah, they are also changing other things like that. Build is will be away, right? You mean that?
Yeah, build is going to be away, but they are also, since some release, you can run Knative without Istio, but with some other solution, like the stuff from the Glue guys. You know, this project that is doing the Glue, Scoop, and all the other packages. They have some kind of service mesh. So I think it's also possible to use Knative with this different mesh, not necessarily Istio.
Yeah,
so,
but more or less that's the thing, right? If probably they will, that's the question. What will be the abstraction, for example, for routing, right? If it will be the Knative thing or something, the abstraction over the service mesh instances, right? The Istio and other things, as you said. Then, as you see, John, it's that's also the reason, right? We didn't really started to plan it.
But that would be awesome, I think, if you could create an issue, specify exactly what you need, and then we could, because as you can see, we don't talk about it, especially that there's this now focus first on making sure that Knative is, like, Kyma is running really on Knative, that what we planned last year already. But it doesn't block us from having, like, you know, a discussion under the issue, which would be, I think, the best, because we could then include Krzysiek, who's owning the UI, also Piotr, who's the capability owner for Service Mesh, who could be included. So I think that the best approach would be create an issue, drop it to the SIG, and we're going to make sure that proper people also take a look on it.
Okay, will do. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from you, John?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So let's go into the first topic of the agenda. So just to remind, we had birthday last Wednesday, 1 year already of project on the open source. And there are two really nice blog posts, especially one is especially nice because I wrote it, which is about, like, kind of summarizing the last year. But also there's a something maybe even interesting for you, John, regarding the questions around Knative and what Piotr said. So we are kind of summarizing what we did during last year, where we failed to not deliver what we planned, and how we want to solve it in the future. So this birthday post about Kyma and Knative is also interesting in the subject. But the most important here, what I also wanted to point out is that we have this t-shirt contest. So any contributor like Felipe that we mentioned in the beginning, he already contributed during the last 5 days, and because of that he will get a t-shirt. So I already had discussion with Anna from our team, and we will extend the contest by 1 week. So it's gonna run until almost the end of next week. So yeah, just a reminder here. And that's it. To your topic, PK.
Okay, then I will just share my screen. Could you stop sharing, Łukasz? Okay. Okay, then the first topic is I'd like to share with you guys what Kyma 1.4 Kyoto will contain, and will be released next week. And I just want to summarize some of the features that first of all, the new thing is coming in the Kyma, which is the OAuth to server integration in Kyma. And we'd like to, we'll realize that through using Hydra and OAuth Keeper from Ori project. And more or less, it's a nice solution for all of the authorization, authentications topics, and our team helping the Ori organization even with writing some of the Kubernetes controllers and so on to make it available in Kyma much easier, and in the same way, let's say in the Kubernetes style, that yeah, you will be able to play with that and already do some add some authorization scopes to your endpoints in the application and so on. The next big thing is we will release in preview mode the new component called Compass. And if you will go to that blog post, I will send it later. You can go to the Kyma Incubator project in GitHub, where the Compass repository exists. And right now it's in the incubator because we just started. But more or less, we already want to expose the functionality of that thing, which is components, number of components that allow to register, manage applications. But the new aspect is that we can group them by scenarios, and then we can decide in which Kyma runtimes those applications will be available. That more or less it's somehow the, let's say, the management plane which allows do some such a things. And with the preview, we plan to release the UI and already be able to do end-to-end flow registering applications right now by hand in the UI itself, which is a really nice case because we can add the specs, credentials, I don't know, to any application, and then already use it through the Lambda. Then try it. Then the next thing is that we will fix the naming in area of Handbroker and bundles add-ons, that we will not see bundles anymore in any of our repositories, examples, and so on. Everything will be named add-ons. It's that feature for Handbroker where we can extend service catalog with additional offering that could be installed in the Kyma itself. And then the other thing is some improvements in the namespace view, that it will be much better user experience. Kiali will be upgraded, and we will have the single sign-on enabled, that it will be the same feeling like with Grafana, Jaeger. Then we will upgrade the Istio, and other stuff is the backup procedure will be configured as a part of the installation process. The new things for the async API specifications, mainly the conversion and validation service will be provided. And as well in the Knative area, we'll have that experimental function controller that will expose lambdas from Knative. And that's the way we are going to have a Knative serving as a function component and not and go away with kubeless in the future. And that's it. You can of course find all of those epics in the Zen Hub. The blog post, just go to the Kyma project.io and click a blog, and then you can see that. And the next topic I like to show you, it's about the GCP service broker. As you know, the GCP they have the managed service broker, which is installed in their environment, and then we have such an add-on for the Helm broker where we are able to install to activate that broker for the given Google project through the service account, and that was that broker was not really maintained since last months, and that was marked as beta. That means there was a way that they will discontinue the work on that, and to be honest, they decided to discontinue work on that, and all of the users that already provisioned such a broker, they got the emails that on 5th of November that thing will stop. They will not operate that. Of course, all of the classes that are spin, they are there, and there is instruction what to do with them. But on the other hand, we've found another Google team that already have the GCP broker, which is used in the Cloud Foundry environment, and they decided to also enable that in the Kubernetes. And today I just want to give you a short demo about that. Because in the same release, as we are removing the old add-on for the GCP broker, we are also enabling the new one in the preview mode. That means you can already try it. And how it looks like, I'm just enabled that add-on in one of the namespace, and you can see that we have that guy here. It's the old one, and that's the new one marked as preview. And it's the same way how to provide credentials for the broker as before, but at the end we need to provide a secret, and during the provisioning of the add-on we need to provide the name of that secret. The details, the add-on documentation is the same. What's different, when activated, there is much more service classes available from the Google, because in the previous one that was just 5, and that was not too much. And right now we have almost all of the main components that are available on the Google side, like PubSub, like Postgres, like Google Cloud Storage. And what's also nice that we have the full documentation for all of the service classes directly available on that GitHub project from the Google team. And in comparison to the previous classes, we have really nice examples about all of the plans, where, when to use them, what's the use case, and so on. And even in the details, we see the detailed description for all of the input parameters, and even for the binding part, the response parameters. That means what will really land in the secret. And then when spinning such a, for example, Google Storage, I will just do that. And you see there is a lot of plans available. Those descriptions, of course, are also available in the form of the wizard. But even I will change to different plans. In that case, all of them has the same number of input parameters. But yeah, let's take the reduce availability, create the instance. Okay, maybe I made a mistake. We are still working on that, and it's still not released. But more or less, maybe I have some quotas on that. I'm not sure, but I already did it few minutes before the SIG Core. Another one that I was the creation of that such a storage took just a couple of seconds, and then getting the credentials is the same story. That was quite nice. User experience. And why we did it in the preview, because as you see, we need to look into more of those classes. We need to try provision all of them, even do some pull requests to the upstream to make it more better looking in the Kubernetes world, because as I said before, that was mainly used in the Cloud Foundry. Okay, then that's it. With the 1.4, you will be able already to run it on your cluster and work with that. Thank you.
Thank you, PK. Let me share agenda again. So before I start with my topic, some more info for you, John. So during the review of 1.4 scope, PK mentioned the ORI, Hydra, and yeah, the whole idea of having much nicer API gateway in Kyma. Like 2 minutes ago or 1 minute ago, we published a blog post that where Piotr, that is responsible for this topic, is explaining how we want to use ORI, what it brings, and how we're going to solve the integration challenges. So I think it's going to be interesting for you, because I guess that customers at some point of time, they will ask, how do I expose my Lambda or service in a nice way to the outside world when I can have a client ID and client secret for a specific endpoint? Mm-hmm. So it's the link I pasted in the meeting notes, but also, of course, you can find it directly on Kyma project.
Okay, thank you.
And last topic, just to show off. I hope you know or not. We have on public Slack. We have open channel called Kyma Squad, where we gather people that want to talk on public conferences around Kyma, and we finally have 3 Kyma Squad members going to different conferences. So for your information, we will have 2 core developers talking at Cloud Native Warsaw conference, which is CNCF supported conference, where many people, like one of the Knative Council members will talk there, or Trigger Mesh founder will talk there. So it's a pretty important event where we will have 2 presentations. And also, Piotr, that you can see here on the call, he will have a presentation around Helm Broker and service management on a Helm Summit. Both conferences are in September. One Warsaw, the second one, the Helm Summit, is in Amsterdam. So if you want to meet the guys in person, go there. And again, questions, feedback. John, something popped up during the meeting?
No, I'm all good, thank you. That was really interesting. Thanks for the update.
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot for joining and making the call more interactive. And that's pretty important.
Yeah.
So
cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.